Good evening and welcome to Scotland at 7 on Broadcasting Scotland. My name's Lindy Harrison. Survivors of childhood sexual abuse who were targeted by abusers working in Scottish football have confirmed that they are to take legal action against the Scottish Football Association. The survivors have appointed the Thompson solicitors to represent them. Last week, SFA published a report outlining their failings, which allowed children across the country to be preyed upon by paedophiles. Ian Maxwell, Scottish FA Chief Executive, last week apologised on behalf of the SFA to those with personal experience of sexual abuse in football and acknowledged the very deep impact experiences of sexual abuse has had on individuals. He went on to say, "We are pleased that the report has recognised the progress that the Scottish FA and its members have made since the board issued a directive in 2016. However, we recognise that there is still much to do. As the report states, football provides a tremendous outlet for young people in Scotland, and it is our responsibility to protect and cultivate that for future generations." Thompson's partner Patrick Maguire commented on the legal action, saying, "As the body in charge of the Scottish football at all levels, the SFA is responsible for the welfare of children taking part in our game. They are trusted by parents to make sure that coaches and officials at club and association level are fit and proper people to care for their children. It is the SFA's complete and utter shame that due to their incompetence and at times willful disregard, criminals of the worst kind preyed on youngsters who only wanted to play football. The legal action for compensation that my firm is undertaking on behalf of our client is part of the process of seeking justice, and it's one that I expect the SFA to take very seriously and settle promptly." Care experienced children are more likely to die and their lives don't count, is the conclusion that the new Scottish Parliament report by Kezia Dugdale, MSP, and Ashley Cameron published today. The year-long research project has found that over the last decade, at least 84 care-experienced young people in secure care have died prematurely. But the figures are not available for those in foster or residential care. The most common reasons for premature death are suicide, overdose, accidents, and complex health issues. For looked-after children, the authorities don't record either their lives or deaths properly. The 40-page report, Falling Through the Cracks, includes research findings following Freedom of Information requests to every Scottish council in Scotland. It sets out 10 recommendations, including fatal accident inquiries should include all looked-after young people who die suddenly or as a result of an accident up to the age of 25. The Scottish Government should ensure the recording of information relating to specific causes of deaths in care-experienced young people is a statutory reportable requirement. The Scottish Government should ensure that the funding allocated to local authorities for young adults continuing in care is ring-fenced, ensuring protection from budget cuts. The report examines key aspects of the lives of care-experienced young people and found that they are far more likely to die than their non-care-experienced peers. And if they live, their lives will be poorer both in terms of their health and economic outlook. It demonstrates that their lives don't count in public policy terms because they're not counted. Their lives and deaths are not recorded properly, and the absence of data means that an absence of public policy to improve their life chances. Scottish Labour MSP for the Lothians, Kezia Dugdale, said, "It's a scandal that we don't know exactly how many care-experienced young people die before their 25th birthday, but we do know it's far too many." Report researcher Ashley Cameron, who grew up in care, said, "The lives of care-experienced people and their subsequent premature deaths should always be considered a matter of public interest. Care-experienced young people who struggled with a lack of stability while in care go on to have poorer outcomes and poorer life chances. Issues around attachment and a lack of long-term stable relationships have a detrimental impact on social and emotional development, educational outcomes, and long-term mental health issues. We should never expect poor outcomes to remain static in the vicious cycle of homelessness, fragmented employment, and poor mental and physical health. Academics state that people who influence law change are more likely to be the ones who report when things go wrong, and that's what we've done here. Because if not now, then when? If not us, then who? Wings Over Scotland YouTube channel was shut down yesterday following complaints of copyright infringement by the BBC relating to 13 short video clips taken from BBC News and current affairs programmes. Stuart Campbell, who runs the Wings website, said today that he has filed counter-notification with YouTube in respect to all 13, citing fair dealing for all of them, since they are just short extracts and all of them are explicitly identify the source. Responding to the national newspaper, a BBC spokesman said that they take action to protect their copyright when they receive complaints about large volumes of their material being posted or used without authorization. According to YouTube Terms of Use, the BBC now has 10 to 14 business days to initiate court action to block the videos, after which the videos and channel will be reinstated. Pro-independence activist Peter Curran also had his YouTube channel shut down following copyright claims from BBC. Yesterday morning he posted on Twitter, "The BBC has now ended my YouTube channel, or any YouTube channel by me. YouTube has also blocked my Moridura alt channel, which has no political clips. This is UK's public broadcaster, in the name of profit ostensibly, claiming copyright on news and the words of politicians." Earlier today, Robert Mugabe cast his vote in Zimbabwe's first election since the former president was removed from office. Zimbabweans hope that the vote will rid the country of its pariah status and lead to a recovery on its failed economy. The election is being contested by 70-year-old President Emmerson Mnangagwa, a longtime Mugabe ally, and 40-year-old Nelson Chamisa, a lawyer and pastor who is vying to become Zimbabwe's youngest head of state. Voting was peaceful, the long lines outside the polling station in capital Harare. Voting began at 7 a.m. and closed 2 hours ago. Scotland's biggest sewer superstructure has become operational in a feat of engineering hailed as extraordinary by Environment Secretary Roseanna Cunningham. She said that the Shield Hall Tunnel in Glasgow, built on the legacy of the country's engineering and water pioneers, would benefit communities for centuries to come. Mrs Cunningham visited the Scottish Water Control Room, where the country's vast network pipes and sewers are managed and monitored around the clock. Ms Cunningham said, "The strategic importance of the Shield Hall Tunnel as part of an ongoing investment across Glasgow by Scottish Water cannot be understated. It's a fantastic example of capital investment programme delivering real long-term benefits for communities to reduce flooding, help deal with the impact of climate change and improve the environment. Much of our underground infrastructure for water and wastewater dates back to the Victorian era, when we proudly led the way in introducing massive improvements to deliver positive impacts on the health of our communities. Communities across Glasgow will benefit for years to come from this latest extraordinary feat of engineering which lies hidden deep beneath the city. It represents the latest chapter in our collective aim to provide safe and sustainable ways of managing waste in our biggest city. It's a significant part of the overall investment in Greater Glasgow, which is essential to the economic prosperity regionally and nationally. Scottish Water is investing $3.5 billion throughout the country to deliver infrastructure which is fit for communities now and for decades to come. The tunnel is the flagship project in Scottish Water's investment in the Glasgow area's wastewater infrastructure, the biggest since Victorian times, and stretches for 3.1 miles from Craigton to Queen's Park via Bellahouston and Pollock Parks. It was constructed over almost 2 years by a team of more than 100 workers from countries across the world using state-of-the-art tunnel boring machine, TBM, named Daisy the Driller by a local schoolboy, which weighed 1,000 tonnes and was longer than 14 buses. The tunnel will alleviate pressure on the existing water network with 98,000 cubic metres of extra storm water storage. That's more than 108 million litres, or the equivalent of 36 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Douglas McKillen, Scottish Water's chief executive, said, "We are delighted to have completed the Shield Hall Tunnel, which is the flagship project of the Scottish Water's investment in the wastewater infrastructure in the Greater Glasgow area, the biggest in well over a century. The city's wastewater infrastructure required major improvements to help transform it into a modern, integrated and sustainable system which will improve the environment and biodiversity on the River Clyde and help tackle flooding. The funeral of Novichok murder victim Don Sturgis took place today. Special precautions had to be put in place to protect mourners. The mother of 3 was cremated in Salisbury today. There were no pallbearers and her coffin was already in place for the mourners arriving. Public Health England worked with funeral directors and the crematorium to prevent any further exposure to the nerve agent that caused Mrs. Sturgis' death. Miss Sturgis, 44, and her partner Charlie Rowley, 45, both fell ill after coming into contact with Novichok at the end of June. She died on the 8th of July. Reverend Philip Bromley, who led the service, said the measures had been put in place to make sure everything is as safe as possible. A Public Health England spokeswoman restated the general advice to the public that the risk remains low. The incident is thought to have been connected to the poisoning of Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia, with the same nerve agent as used in the Salisbury attack in March. The Skripals both survived. Almost 700 trekkers descended Mount Rinjani on Indonesia's tourist island of Lombok on Monday after a powerful earthquake of magnitude 6.4 struck, sending boulders tumbling down the slopes of the volcano. Sunday's earthquake was centred on the northern part of Lombok, but was also felt on the island of Bali to the west. The death toll reached 16, with more than 335 people injured, many by collapsing buildings. The National Park Authority said on Monday that the key route to the peak of the 3,726 metre, that's 12,224 foot, sorry, that should be 3,726 metre, 12,224 foot, volcano had been cleared and the helicopter was dropping supplies to all others still picking their way to safety. As many as 820 people, most of them foreigners, were on Mount Rinjani when the earthquake struck, making 2 trails impassable. Sutopo Purwo Nugroho, a spokesman of the National Disaster Mitigation Agency, on Twitter late on Sunday, more than 100 aftershocks had been reported. The death toll in California's wildfires has risen to 8. Survivors told of their horror at watching fast-moving flames spread and devour their homes. Firefighters across the country are battling to control 17 large-scale blazes that have turned houses into smouldering piles of rubble and left tens of thousands of acres as wastelands. Shasta County Supervisor Leonard Moty, commenting on the Carr fire, said, "I've been a lifelong resident of this community and I've never seen a fire with such destruction here in this area ever before." Around 38,000 people have been evacuated in the Shasta County due to the Carr fire, according to officials. The smoke is covering a large area of Northern California, severely limiting visibility and creating breathing problems. California Governor's Office of Emergency Services has said 12,000 firefighters from as far away as Florida and New Jersey are deployed across the state. A firefighter died on Sunday while battling the Ferguson fire near Yosemite National Park. He was struck by a tree while fighting the blaze, according to the Sequoia and Kings National Park Service. He was identified as Brian Hughes. One person who ignored the Carr fire evacuation orders was found in a burnt-out residence on Sunday, Shasta County Sheriff Tom Bosenko stated. Earlier, 2 firefighters were killed while battling the Carr blaze, and a 70-year-old woman and her 2 great-grandchildren aged 4 and 5 died while the Redding home became engulfed in flames. California Governor Jerry Brown has declared a state of emergency in Shasta, Lake Napa, and Mendocino counties. The US President Donald Trump has signed an emergency declaration to make federal aid available to county authorities. In Syria, Daesh kidnapped dozens of Druze women and children when it attacked their villages last week in the southern province of Suaida, a monitor said Monday. More than 250 people were killed on Wednesday when Daesh carried out a string of suicide attacks and shootings in the provincial capital of Sueda and villages to the north and east. At least 36 Druze women and children were abducted after the attacks, said the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, a British-based monitor with a network of sources inside Syria. 4 of the women had managed to escape and another 2 had died, said the observatory chief Rami Abdel Rahman. Daesh still holds small isolated areas of Syria's remote desert, which includes northeastern parts of Sueda, as well as pockets in the adjacent province of Dara and further east near the border with Iraq. Russian-backed Syrian troops have been waging an assault on Daesh-held pocket of Dara for more than a week. And finally, police in Dumfries are seeking the assistance of the public in trying to locate 48-year-old woman missing from Dumfries. Lynn Tyson was out with friends on Saturday night and was last seen around 3 a.m. on Sunday morning. In the White Sands area of Dumfries, Lynn is white, has a slim build and blonde shoulder-length hair. She was wearing black and white striped tops, black skinny trousers and black sandals. No one has seen or heard from Lynn since then, and her family is growing increasingly concerned. It is out of character for her not to be in touch with friends and family. Extensive inquiries are underway to locate Lynn, with officers checking CCTV footage from around the area for any clues as to where she might have gone. Officers in Dumfries are appealing for anyone who may have seen Lynn or has any information as to her whereabouts to contact them via 101. That's all from us at Scotland at 7. I'm Lindy Harrison and thank you for watching.